Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
All right, what's going on, guys? You're listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I'm your host on Mondays and Thursdays, Casey Foreman, and this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Welcome in, guys. Like I said, thanks for tuning in to today's episode, a packed show for you guys, and I know I say that all the time, but it legit, a packed show for you today. So much to get to, discuss, look at. As far as the world of basketball goes, this past week has been filled with news, with games. The college basketball season has officially started and kicked off. I'll make sure to keep you guys as posted as ever, as informed as ever as we go through that season. Not too much to discuss as of right now. I saw my Virginia Cavaliers drop a couple of disappointing games, but either way, not too much to discuss now. I'll make sure to keep you guys posted as the season continues. However, we officially have college hoops back. We were unsure if we were going to have a college season, so super excited to have that back officially. Also, in the world of basketball, LeBron James has extended his contract with the Los Angeles Lakers an additional 2 years. He was going to be a Laker through 2021, now has extended through 2023, a 2-year, $85 million contract for LeBron James. Basically, when his contract is up with the Lakers, his son could be eligible to be in the NBA draft. So maybe he's playing chess and he's setting himself up to be able to play with his son one day, the first time that would ever happen. So that would be amazing. Maybe he is setting that up potentially. Either way, LA, they get the jackpot here. They have LeBron James through 2023. LeBron also has this pretty good roster, at least for another few years as well. So I think both parties are winning there. Happy to see the Lakers extending LeBron. Happy to see LeBron getting 2 years, $85 million. That is a contract right there. So so much has been going on also in the world of basketball, as far as if you've been following the journey of the Ball brothers. I think we all kind of have been up until this point, since we saw them all, playing in Chino Hills in high school. Now, LeVar Ball, what he said has officially, he said he was going to speak it into existence, and perhaps he did. It has come true. It has finally happened. All three Ball brothers are on an NBA contract. LiAngelo Ball, a couple of days ago, signed with the Detroit Pistons, a 1-year non-guaranteed deal, but still a 1-year deal with Detroit. Seemingly now has a chance to prove himself, prove he does deserve to be in the NBA with his two brothers. So you're happy to see it. Again, he did kind of screw his chances in the first place, stealing in China with UCLA and then leaving UCLA to go play overseas in Lithuania. So yes, maybe he did, cause this for himself. Either way, I'm happy to see, the best for him. He made it to the NBA finally. LeVar Ball, also happy to see what he said come true, right? Maybe some people aren't as happy, but still, what he said, all three of his sons have officially made it to the league. So props to, congrats to him. Congrats to all three sons, Lonzo, LaMelo, and now LiAngelo, for all three being in the league. They joined the Holiday brothers, the Lopez brothers, the Morris brothers, and many other Not many, but a few other sets of brothers in the NBA. So they joined them. Props to all three of them. So much has gone on this week in basketball. As far as what today's podcast is going to be looking like, though, I haven't even had a chance to discuss that quite yet. So much has gone on. Russell Westbrook, obviously, another Woj bomb was dropped on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, so Russell Westbrook was traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a first-round pick. So John Wall is going to Houston. Russell is going to Washington. So we'll see. I'm going to break that down for both teams, Washington and Houston. Is there a winner of this trade? Did any team get really that much better? I'm going to break that down. Also, we finally know more details, as much as we can know, as far as opening day and Christmas Day games. We know who we're going to be seeing on opening day, who we're going to be seeing on Christmas Day. Some great matchups. I'm super excited to see those teams face off. I'm going to break down who we're going to be seeing and what we just might see from those teams. Also, at the end of the podcast, ESPN, since we're getting closer and closer to the start of this season, as we know, as they always do, they released another list, some more predictions from ESPN regarding their top 5 teams in both the East and Western Conference. So I'm going to break that down, ESPN's list, my thoughts on their list, and then give you guys one of my own. So like I said, a packed show. Let's start out, though, like I said, with another Woj bomb. Russell Westbrook for John Wall. It is official. We have been waiting for a couple of weeks now. Yeah, a couple of weeks now since Russell, said he wanted out of Houston, said, he wanted to be traded. We've been waiting for Houston to move Westbrook. And now, obviously, we know he is heading to Washington. In return, Washington gets, not Bradley Beal. That's a great deal. They are getting John Wall. The Rockets are getting John Wall and a first round pick. So a little more sugar on top, John Wall, and then a first round pick on top of that. So that's good. Washington gets a new point guard. Houston gets rid of the guard that doesn't necessarily fit. A whole lot of angles, a whole lot of things, a lot of thoughts that I have on this. I was somewhat surprised, honestly, that this was where Russell landed, that this was where he ended up. And also a little bit surprised that Washington didn't want to try again with their guy in John Wall. He was their franchise player for so long. He's always been in Washington. He's always been a Washington Wizard. So he's been a franchise player there. They ship him out, though, for, yes, right now I think it is clear and easy to say that he is the better player now, Russell is, in comparison to John Wall. But still, since there is so much to discuss, I do want to take a look at both sides here, the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards. But let's start with the team that seemingly, like I said, won the trade, quote, quote, won the trade, right? But still, let's start with that team. And that team, in my opinion, is the Washington Wizards. Okay, they did get the better player, the safer player in this scenario here. I know if Russell Westbrook's the safer player, it's like, wow. But still, they are getting the safer player in this scenario with John Wall and his injuries. Okay, he's had 2 major injuries in the past several years. So with his injuries, they are concerning. He hasn't played 70 games. Hasn't played 70 games since 2016 and 2017. Heck, he hasn't. He's barely played, has barely played a total of 70 games in the last 4 seasons combined. So 4 seasons combined, he's barely played 70 games. So that is concerning. Major injuries. Sam hasn't played in 2 seasons with the contract that he does, in fact, have. That is a concerning thing to take on if you're the Houston Rockets. And definitely, you can see why the Washington Wizards weren't willing to hold on to John Wall, and as soon as they were able to move off of him, they seemingly did that and got Russell Westbrook, in return. So I understand the Wizards in this sense. Again, Wall hasn't played 70 games since 2016-2017 and has barely played a total of 70 games in the last 4 seasons. And on the contrary, Westbrook has been pretty durable over the last several seasons and throughout his entire career. Yes, he's had those tweaks in his groin, maybe broken a bone here and there, but still overall, he has been pretty durable throughout his career. Again, here and there, the minor issues here and there. But last year alone played 57 out of the 70-ish games that they did have. So he played the majority of the season last year, as he has been doing over the last several years. And he averaged 27 points, 7 assists, and 8 rebounds per game. So yes, that is an impressive stat line, 27, 7, and 8, 57 out of the 70-ish games that they did play. So that's a durable player, that is high-level stats right there as well. So I completely understand. I want to start out by saying, I understand, the Washington's idea here, their mindset here of getting rid, of John Wall, the player of John Wall, with the injury history that he does have, the contract that comes with him. So I completely understand that side. However, one thing I think Washington may have overlooked is fit, is, the whole meshing of your basketball team. Chemistry matters more than anything. We heard about playoff P, right? Paul George say on the All the Smoke podcast, I think it was, recently, that chemistry is basically the most important thing, and that's why the Clippers didn't have the success that they were hoping for this past season. So, chemistry is huge. And they're going to have to build it overall. And again, I think they may have overlooked fit. Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure how much Russ is going to fit. Again, before he forced the trade, or right when he forced the trade, he came out and said, hey, I want to be the focal point of the offense. I want to be the runner of the offense, the focal point of the game plan, the focus of it. Now, though, him being in Washington, I think, yes, it's a different situation. Okay, Washington isn't necessarily, they are in a win now scenario, but they aren't necessarily competing for a championship. Maybe they're hoping getting Russ is going to put them over the top. No way does it. But still, it's a different situation in Washington, but it's somewhat similar for Russ in a sense, because he's going to a team where, in my opinion, this is just in my opinion, but in my opinion, this is similar to Houston, because he is now going to be the second best player on his roster. This is not Oklahoma City with Paul George, where you are no doubt the best player on your team, or just yourself without Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, where you're no doubt the best player on your team. Now is similar to Houston, where we had James Harden. Now he has a guy in Bradley Beal who is definitely competing for Russell Westbrook for the best player on the roster, if not has already surpassed him at this point of his career, at that point of Russ's career. Looking at Bradley Beal last year, he's only 25 years old in comparison to Russ being over 30 years old. So he's only 25 years old. Bradley Beal is, and he averaged almost 30 points last year. He is starting to enter the prime of his career. Okay, so in my opinion, they already have a number one kind of best player on the team, in my opinion. Again, Fit is so important on the roster. Westbrook coming in, he said before the trade, I want to be the focal point. I want to be the runner of the offense. I think they already have a focal point. They already have a runner. Maybe not a runner of the offense, because you need a point guard to step in and run the offense necessarily, but still, they have a number one player. They have a guy. And for Russ to say before the trade that he wants to be that guy, that is where he wants to go. He wants to go to a team where he can be that guy. And now he goes to Washington. Yes, a different situation. He is, higher on the pedestal. In Houston, it's no doubt it's James Harden and then Russell Westbrook. In Washington, you can say Russ is better than Brad. I'm higher on Bradley Beal now than I am on Russell Westbrook at this point in their careers, but still, in Houston, again, you can say James is no doubt. It's a little bit of a toss-up here for some people, especially for Russ. He's coming in and saying, no doubt I'm the best player on this roster. So that is concerning for me. Bradley Beal he should be the focus of this offense. And Wall, in my opinion, is much more of a pass-first point guard. Yes, Russell has averaged a triple-double in his career. Yes, I know Russ can average over 10 assists per game throughout an entire season. He is a very good passer, Russell Westbrook is, but there is no doubt that Wall is much more, is not necessarily a pass first point guard, but he is more of a pass first point guard than Russell Westbrook. He still gets his shots, but you know what I'm saying? He tends to get others more involved, John Wall would, than Russell. Both are very similar, I would say. Neither have very good 3-point shots, neither have great jump shots, I should say. Maybe John has the edge on Russ, but still, I think John is much more of a pass-first guy, would have gotten Bradley more involved in the offense in comparison to what Russ may be doing. That is my biggest concern. I want to take a quick break, guys. When I come back, we'll continue discussing the Wizards side, and then we will get on to Houston's side, bringing on John Wall and that first-round pick. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, guys, welcome back. Like I said before the break, let's continue on discussing Russell Westbrook being traded to the Washington Wizards, and let's continue focusing on Washington's side of the trade for now. So again, my biggest concern, like I said before the break, for Washington adding a guy like Russell Westbrook, my biggest concern has got to be fit. Putting him together with a guy like Bradley Beal, yes, those are two very talented players. The upside is there, okay, but again, the concern of fit has to arise. Will Russ, again, take the front seat in the offense, or will he kind of be the pass-first guy and defer to, in my opinion, the better player right now, up-and-coming better player in Bradley Beal, the younger player, averaged 30 points almost last year. So we'll see. Will Russ affect, will the addition of Russ take away from Bradley Beal? Will Russell, focus on getting him his shots, getting him involved, or will he be more focused on his own shot, his own statistical stat line, like we've seen in the past? So that is my biggest concern. Russ has had trouble in the past playing with other all-star talent, with other high-caliber players. And I don't want to, say I'm just hating on Russ here. This is not just a hate on Russ session here. I do like Russell Westbrook, okay, but you cannot argue the fact that he has not had success playing with other all-stars in this league, other high-level egos, you could say, in this league. He's had trouble sharing the ball, I should say, deferring to other players. He's had trouble doing that with James Harden in Houston. We have no doubt now that did not necessarily work to the highest degree, to the potential that it had. It did not pan out that way. Same thing with Paul George. Okay, we saw multiple first round exits despite those two high level caliber players being paired together. Same thing with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. They made it to one finals together, but besides that, a lot of underachieving. So Russ, you could say, has been the common factor in these underachieving. I know the Rockets have underachieved before Russ, and they probably will after Russ. Same thing. I don't know about Kevin Durant. We'll see how he does in Brooklyn, but still, Russ has had issues playing with other all-stars, with multiple all-stars. Yes, he may be friends with those guys, but, he has never had success with a guy not named Kevin Durant. And even when he had a guy named Kevin Durant, they simply made it to one NBA Finals, nothing else to really speak of. So yes, the Wizards definitely got the better player in this sense. In comparison to John Wall and Russell Westbrook right now, yes, the Wizards got the better player. And the Wizards don't have Wall's contract with his injury history. So they have all of that. However, Westbrook's contract is not a good thing. Okay, that is also a bad contract. Okay, so they're also getting Westbrook's contract. And I'm also not sure if the fit is there with Westbrook, with Bradley Beal. Okay, so that is another thing. They're not getting a great contract in return. They're shipping out a bad one, yes, but they're not getting a great one in return. And then I'm not quite sure if the fit is entirely there with Bradley Beal, with Russell Westbrook. Will he be able to somewhat defer to him and get him more involved than himself, get him more shots than himself? We'll see. Not too sure. He said before the trade he wants to be the focal point. He wants to run the offense. That concerns me, especially for Bradley Beal's sake. We will see. I definitely think, though, that they make the playoffs out east next year. They're going to be a lot better next year in comparison to this year. Prior years just having Bradley Beal. Now they have more talent than Russell Westbrook, so they're going to make the playoffs out east. They're going to be a better team than they were this year. However, how much better did they really get is the question. Will the fit be there? Will the two pieces in Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook fit together? That's the biggest question. Now let's pivot and transition to the other team involved in this trade, and that is obviously the Houston Rockets. Houston, they trade Westbrook, who didn't necessarily fit with their seemingly franchise player. We don't know how that is really sitting. Last time we heard from James Harden, he was saying he wants out of Houston. We'll see. Maybe adding John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and such will change his mind. We will see. However, it was no doubt that the whole Westbrook a theory experiment that it did not necessarily go as, maybe it did go as planned, but it didn't go as hoped, we should say. He did not fit with James Harden too well. They got out of the Westbrook contract. Like I said earlier, not a great contract with Westbrook, so they get out of the Westbrook contract. However, they get the worst contract, possibly the worst contract in John Wall's. Okay, so he's getting max money despite all the injuries that he does in fact have. So this whole trade really does depend on the health of John Wall. That is the biggest factor here. There is no doubt in my mind. It really depends, if John comes back 100% healthy, playing just as he did before the injuries, and it's like, man, Washington might have made a mistake here. He might have been a better fit healthy with Bradley Beal than a healthy Russell Westbrook potentially. But either way, I'm getting ahead of myself here. It really does depend, this entire trade, as far as who won it, who lost it. It 100% depends on the health of John Wall, what type of player they are getting when he returns, hopefully right away when he returns. And if he is healthy, like I said, can he basically be what he was? He is, in my opinion, he probably is a better fit for the Rockets, probably is a better fit for the Wizards, in my opinion, than Russell Westbrook is. Again, he is not a very good shooter and has never shot higher than 37%. That's pretty good, 37%, but still is not a very good three-point shooter, has had a couple of decent seasons, but overall is not a sharp shooter, I should say. Can knock down a jump shot for sure, but is not a shooter like a James Harden, like a Bradley Beal. But like I said earlier, he is definitely more of an assisting point guard, of a pass first point guard, gonna get others more involved. Russ is a career 7, 8 assists. John is a career 9, going on 10 assists per game. So yes, he does average more assists per game. He's gonna get more people involved in comparison to Russ, who kind of dribbles out the shot clock, then at the end will pass to a guy for a shot. So different types of assists. I think these two players both get. Similar in their shooting, where they're both not great shooters. I'll take John probably taking a shot over Russell, quite honestly. But still, I think John might be a better fit for the Houston Rockets. Again, if he can come back healthy, if he can be basically somewhat what he was before, maybe a little bit less, but if he can be somewhat what he was before, he is a better fit than Russell Westbrook with James Harden, with this Houston offense. He's going to get others involved, move the ball more. Russ, like I said, Russ gets assists, like I said, but, just not as effective as a guy like John Wall, in my opinion. So, yes, he does go out and get 8-10 assists per game, just not as effective as assists. Again, like I said, kind of dribbles the clock out, then he'll pass to a guy at the end of the shot clock. But hopefully, as far as John Wall goes, because he's been sitting for the past 2-3 seasons, hopefully he has been somewhat grounded, humbled, and hopefully he is determined and eager to get out there and show everyone what he is capable of doing, what he can get out there and do, what he still has left in the tank as well. So hopefully he is determined, he is eager, hopefully he was humbled and grounded over these last couple of seasons, and now going to Houston, he is being paired, he's pairing up with his former Kentucky teammate in DeMarcus Cousins. Yes, I think both guys are kind of in a similar situation. John and DeMarcus both are coming off 2 major injuries, so both players are coming off 2 major injuries. We're unsure what we're going to get from both players, so the Houston Rockets are definitely taking 2 big chances on DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall, but the former Kentucky teammates are being paired up once again. Also, John playing with the best player he's ever played with in James Harden, so Harden getting more of a pass-first point guard hopefully can help him in the offense a little bit, get the offense rolling a little bit more, less ISO ball, can get the ball moving a little bit more perhaps. So we'll see. John Wall is an ISO player, though he does like to get his ISO in, so we'll see. Is more of a pass-first player, though, more of an assisting point guard than a Russell Westbrook, so we'll see. This trade has so many aspects, so many different sides to it, quite honestly. Both guys, like I said, in DeMarcus and John are coming back, so the Rockets are taking, big chances with Wall's health, with DeMarcus's health, and then Washington, obviously, the Rockets are taking the chance on Wall that Washington was not willing to take. Again, really surprising. Wall has been a Wizard for his entire career. They ship him out without even seeing how he is after the injury. So maybe that's telling us they are saying, hey, we know he is not going to be the same player. We might as well get the better player right now in Russell Westbrook, make the playoffs, be more relevant, and have another chemistry experiment with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. So I understand what they're doing as far as the Wizards go, and then as far as the Rockets go, Russell does not fit with James Harden. Take a chance on a guy like John Wall. No matter what, you're stuck with a bad contract with Westbrook, with John Wall. So no matter what, you're stuck with a contract. You might as well take a chance on a guy who might just be a better fit in your offense. So I understand both sides of the trade here. The Rockets are taking the chance that the Wizards were not willing to take. We will see how well Russ fits in Washington with a guy like Bradley Beal. We will also see how John Wall comes back. Will he be the player he was before? Will he be a better fit with a guy like James Harden? Will James Harden even be a Houston Rocket when the season starts? We really haven't heard much, since he said, I want out, I want to go to Brooklyn. We haven't heard anything really since then. No other teams besides Philadelphia, but really Philly doesn't want to deal a guy like Ben Simmons quite yet. So as of right now, we heard Golden State was in the mix to get a guy like James Harden. They apparently called Houston on draft night for the number 2 pick. So that would be a scary thing, pairing a guy like James Harden with Steph Curry. Who knows? Maybe that should be on the radar. Who knows if James Harden will even be a Houston Rocket at the start of this season. We'll see if John can come back. We'll see if Russ fits well with Brad Beal. Overall, though, looking at this trade overall as a whole, I'm not sure if either team, the Wizards or the Rockets, I'm not sure if either team got that much better. Sure, the Wizards will be able to make the postseason now. They almost made it this year without John Wall, but they're not a contending team by any means. They're not a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference by any means, so I'm not sure they got that much better overall. Sure, they're probably better than a Magic team. They're probably better than a Pacer team, maybe. But I don't even know if they're better than the Pacers, but still. Overall, I'm not quite sure either team got that much better. We'll see how it pays off for the Wizards. We'll see how it pays off for Houston. I want to take a quick break. When I come back, guys, like I said, we finally know opening day and Christmas day schedules. I'm super excited for that. I want to break that down. Again, what we're seeing on opening day, what we're going to be seeing on Christmas day. We've been waiting for a while. We were waiting for a while to kind of see when the season was even going to be starting. Was it going to be all the way in January? Is it going to be in December around Christmas time? So now December 22nd, we know the season is tipping off. That is what I want to discuss when I come back from the break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back, guys. Like I said before the break, let's now transition to discussing the official tip-off of next season. We now know December 22nd who we're going to be seeing, the matchups we're going to be having, as well as on Christmas Day. And as for me, those two dates are something I usually look forward to, Christmas Day and the NBA's tip-off. Those are usually some of the best matchups that we see all season long, quite frankly. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for a while now, and now we finally know who we're going to be seeing, and that is what I want to break down, who we're going to be seeing and what we just might see from those teams. So again, the games and matchups have been released for, in my opinion, some of the biggest days in basketball, not just for the NBA, in basketball, in general. As we know, the season is tipping off on December 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Okay, so TNT will be airing the first game of the regular season, as they usually do, I believe. I think the tip-off is usually on TNT. So, as usual, tune in to TNT about 7 o'clock Eastern, depending on where you're at, December 22nd, the first game of the season that we will be watching. I am stoked for. I am super excited for. This is a game as a matchup, I should say, I've been waiting to see ever since Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors. So this is a game I've been waiting to watch, waiting to see. The first game of the regular season, we are getting Golden State against the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, so I'm super excited for that game. I'm going to break it down in just a moment. Followed by, so we're getting Golden State and Brooklyn, followed by the Clippers and the Lakers. Okay, so Golden State and Brooklyn, and then the Clippers and the Lakers, both should be great games. They should give us also a little bit of a taste, a little bit of an idea, I should say, as far as how these teams stack up against each other. We know the Warriors, the Nets, the Clippers, the Lakers, all are hoping to play for a title at one point, are all hoping to play for a title, maybe even this year. Okay, more, some more than others, obviously, but still all have championship aspirations, and opening day is even going to give us some idea of how these teams stack up against each other. So I'm super excited for it. I do want to break down each matchup we're going to see, and in my opinion, like I said, they could not have picked a better matchup to start the regular season with. I'm super excited to see what we have in store for us, throughout the entire regular season. They have yet to release. Actually, have they? No, they have not released the entire regular season schedule yet. So we're still waiting on that to be released. But overall, that they could not have picked a more interesting first game, in my opinion. We get to see Steph, who's finally healthy. The last time we saw Steph play, yes, he played maybe 2 games or 3 games last year. One against Toronto, one against the Clippers, and then he got hurt against, I'm blanking who he got hurt against, but still, we saw him play 3 games last year, okay? So we really haven't seen him play since the 2019 NBA Finals, where he averaged over 26, 27 points per game, was the focal point of the offense, and basically led the Warriors to 6 games against the Toronto Raptors, who were at full strength, which obviously the Warriors were not. So that was the last time we saw Steph Curry playing. And again, he is finally healthy. The Warriors also are now without a huge piece of the roster yet again for consecutive seasons. They will be missing the talents of Klay Thompson again for consecutive seasons. Last year tears his ACL, in the 2019 finals tears his ACL, and then a week ago on the day of the NBA draft, he tears his Achilles in his opposite leg, in his opposite foot. So absolutely terrible to hear for Golden State, for Klay. But now we get to see them on opening night. So again, we get to see Steph, who we really haven't seen since the 2019 finals, and we get to see this Golden State Warrior team who has been throwing pieces together, who has been building this roster up, since seeing them in 5 straight NBA finals. So this is a new roster in Golden State, and now they're missing, yet again, a huge piece in Klay Thompson. So I'm super, super excited to see what this Warriors roster looks like altogether. Also, as far as the Brooklyn Nets go, Kevin Durant, very similar to the whole Steph Curry, Klay Thompson situation here. I know he got hurt kind of before the 2019 finals, but really he tore his Achilles, similar to Klay, but he tore his Achilles in the 2019 finals, so we did not see him. He was sidelined for the entire season last year, so similar to Steph, similar to Klay. We did not see him for the entirety of the season last year, and that was a big blow for us. That was a big blow for the league, for Kevin Durant, and for the Brooklyn Nets, in total. So Kevin is also healthy. We get to see him, face off against his former team. I said it a second ago. This is a game I've been waiting to see since Kevin left Golden State. So I've been waiting for this matchup. We now get to see him finally. We get to see him face off against the team he left, the team he won his 2 championships with, the team he won his 2 finals MVPs with. We know there's been a whole lot of talk regarding him going to Golden State, regarding him leaving Golden State, why he left, yada, yada, yada. Still, this is a matchup we've been waiting for over a year now. We finally get that. Also, another thing we've been waiting for over a year now, yes, the duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. We've been waiting to see this tandem, this duo play together since Kyrie left Boston, since Kevin Durant again left Golden State. So it's been over a year now. We've been waiting to see this tandem, this duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving play together. So we we are finally getting that as soon as possible. Opening day of the NBA, we're getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving facing off against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. I cannot wait as far as what I'm anticipating for. We'll see as far as how many minutes Durant plays, how many minutes Kyrie plays. I'm guessing, they're going to be playing down to the wire, so we'll see. I'm hoping for a Warriors victory, but I'm thinking the Nets will probably get the best of this new Warrior team. But either way, both teams are in similar situations. Both teams haven't had yet to really play too much together, if not any basketball yet together. So both teams are in the same boat, kind of. We'll see which team gets out to the hotter start, which team kind of meshes quicker, sooner rather than later. So both teams are in similar bouts. I cannot wait to see Kevin face off against his former team in Golden State. Kyrie as well had some injuries last year, so we'll see if Kyrie can come back at full strength. Cannot wait to see that whole roster together in both scenarios. Like I said, as far as Golden State goes, Klay goes down. They have Wiggins now, who only played 20-ish games for them, 15-ish games for him last year. So now Steph is getting to play with an Andrew Wiggins. Steph is getting to play with a Kelly Oubre Jr., with the James Wiseman as well. Draymond coming back as motivated as ever. So I'm excited to see that tandem, that group play together, what their game plan, what their style is like. And the same thing for KD and the Nets. What is their style of play going to be like? They have a new coaching staff, Mike D'Antoni. Again, Kevin Durant hasn't played with these group of guys yet. But the group overall, though, in Brooklyn, they're familiar with each other. So I think they will get out to a hotter start in comparison to a Golden State who may need a little bit more time to mesh and get their forms all together. But still excited to see that. Again, both teams have championship hopes. We'll see if they kind of mesh right away or if it's going to take some time to see. I cannot wait to see those games on December 22nd, on December 23rd, the day after. I think we're getting the Bucks and the Celtics. Yeah, we're getting the Bucks and the Celtics, and then I think we're getting Phoenix, and I'm blanking on who Phoenix is playing. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Phoenix is going to be playing Dallas. Oh, that's a really good game. So Wednesday we have Dallas against Phoenix. Dallas, an up-and-coming team. Phoenix, obviously getting Chris Paul now, an up-and-coming team. So they face off, and then we have the Celtics and the Bucks facing off. So back-to-back opening night, and then the night after we have consecutive nights of good basketball. And then I should save this for Christmas Day. But again, one more game on opening night I forgot to discuss. Oh crap! I forgot the Laker and the Clipper game is also on opening night. My bad, Laker Clipper fans. I almost forgot to discuss. We also get to see what we should have seen, what we were all hoping to see in the Western Conference Finals last year. So we're getting to see what we are hoping to see, the Battle of Los Angeles. So the Lakers, we get to see what they look like with all of their new pieces. Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol, and Wesley Matthews. Now a little bit of controversy, arising in LA. Dennis Schroeder saying, I don't want to come off the bench. I'm a starting point guard now. I think I've earned that. So we'll see. Even though LeBron is like the best starting point guard in basketball. So we will see as far as that goes. Maybe he'll start at point guard, maybe be more of a 2. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a little bit of controversy arriving. We'll see how LA is with all of their new pieces. Also, again, we'll get the Western Conference Finals. We all wanted the Clippers, lost Montrezl Harrell, add Serge Ibaka. So we'll see if the Lakers are clearly the better team, or if the Clippers will surprise us a little bit and show us some of that potential we saw last year that we never quite had a chance to get to. So we'll see what we get from the Clippers, what we get from the Lakers with all of their new pieces. Both games on opening day should be exciting to watch. Again, we could see the Clippers come out and be more motivated to beat the Lakers. The Lakers a little bit more tired, only have a couple of months off, so we'll see what we get on opening night. I'm expecting some great basketball. As far as what we're going to be getting On Christmas Day, I'm expecting some great matchups or some great basketball because there are some great matchups for the December 25th Christmas Day slate of games. I'm probably more excited for Christmas Day than opening day, and that should tell you guys something because I am so excited to see Brooklyn and Golden State. But still, as far as Christmas Day goes, we have games all day long. That is another big factor going into it in comparison to opening day. We simply have games at night. For Christmas Day, we have games starting at 10 o'clock a.m. for some people, going all the way until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So I'm super excited. I'm all for it, similar to the bubble. We had basketball all day long. I loved it, and we're going to get that on Christmas Day, a little bit of a throwback to the bubble, we should say. So we get to start the day on a little bit of an unusual matchup, but still an interesting matchup for sure. We get the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion face off against the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. So super excited to see Zion and the Pelicans coming back. Have they matured? Have they continued to mature? They have a new coaching staff. They've added some new pieces in Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe. So they've added some new pieces to this roster, new coaching staff. So we'll see if they have continued to mature, what that roster looks like, what Zion looks like. We all know, we've all had comments on what he needs to do to get better as far as his conditioning and weight goes. So we'll see what Zion looks like. We'll see what New Orleans looks like. Also, we'll see the team we just saw in the NBA Finals in the Miami Heat. They did improve over this offseason, adding a guy in Avery Bradley, but did they improve that much overall? They lost a guy in Jay Crowder, which I think is a decently big blow for them. They do get a guy in Avery Bradley to somewhat replace him, but overall, not too sure if Miami improved that much. Should be an exciting game. I want to take a quick break, guys. When I come back, we'll continue discussing the Christmas Day games, and then for the final segment, we'll discuss ESPN's rankings or their predictions of the top 5 teams in each conference, both East and West. I will be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Like I said before the break, this is going to be my final segment of the day, final segment of the show. Let's continue discussing, let's finish up discussing what we're going to see on Christmas Day, and then let's segue and discuss what ESPN predicts will be the top 5 teams in both the East and Western Conference. So again, let's pick up right where we left off on Christmas Day. The first game we will be seeing is New Orleans against Miami. Yes, a little bit of an unusual matchup, not something we would usually predict to see, but a good matchup. Two good teams. We'll see what they both look like coming right out of the gate. I know you're hopeful. Both teams are hopeful for their young players to come out and to have developed a little bit over this small off season. So we'll see. Then though, following Miami and New Orleans, we get to see the Warriors take on the Milwaukee Bucks. We got the Greek Freak taking on Steph Curry and the Warriors. So the Bucks have clearly improved their roster overall this season. Getting a guy like Drew Holiday, yes, there's no doubt a two-way player who can spread the floor, make it harder for teams to pack the paint and beat the Bucks. So adding a guy like Drew Holiday, yes, definitely improves. They added a guy like Torrey Craig, DJ Augustine, Bobby Portis. So overall, this Bucks team has improved. The Warriors obviously losing a big piece in Klay Thompson, still adding Kelly Oubre Jr., James Wiseman, Brad Wanamaker as well, Kent Bazemore, another name they added. So we'll see. Both rosters have added new pieces. Steph's coming back after staying out for an entire year, so we'll see. I'm excited to see, Antetokounmpo, Giannis face off against Steph. So super excited to see that. Also, then we're going to be followed by the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, the Nets will be playing the Celtics after the Warriors play the Bucks. So we'll have the Nets playing the Celtics. So we have two top teams, in my opinion, two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to get to that in my next segment, okay? So stick around for my next segment. But still, the Nets against the Celtics, two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Kyrie faces off against his former team, the team he left for Brooklyn. Obviously, he left Boston. So Kyrie faces his former team. And again, the Nets are getting a challenge right away. They have a challenge right away with Golden State, and then a challenge right away with a very good overall team in the Boston Celtics. So I'm excited to see what Brooklyn does in both of those showing. If they can start out 2-0, that's going to be a very impressive start for the Brooklyn Nets. So we have the Pelicans and Heat, the Warriors and the Bucks, the Nets and the Celtics, and then the prime time game at around 7 o'clock at night, I should say. So the prime time game will be the Lakers against the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, so the Lakers and Dallas, Luka and the Mavericks getting the prime time game. Super excited to see that. LeBron against Luka. I think it's a great matchup that the Dallas and the Mavericks are going to be a very up-and-coming team next year. Luka is going to be an MVP candidate next year, if not the lead runner for MVP next year. So because of that, it makes nothing but sense. Luka's on everybody's radar now, especially what he did in last year's postseason. So he's on everybody's radar. Everyone knows who he is at this point. He's going to be an MVP candidate next year. It makes sense to pair him, put him up against the current best player, up against the guy, making him run for his money, making him run for his money. What's the expression there? Either way, I think Luka could be the guy to take the crown from a guy like LeBron, years down the road. It makes nothing but sense to pair them up, put them up against each other on Christmas night, prime time. LeBron and the Lakers against Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. I love it. Super excited. The late game will also be one to watch. Don't go to bed early on Christmas, guys. Make sure you stay up for the late game on Christmas. We're getting the Clippers. Okay, the Clippers are facing off against the team they blew a 3-1 lead to. We have the Clippers facing off against Denver. Expect a lot of emotions in that game. I think the Clippers will come out and have something to prove. Denver as well will come out and prove that was no fluke. We are legit. So both teams will come out with a chip on their shoulder. Both teams will come out with something to prove, and expect a lot of emotions during that late game potentially. So there's a lot of great games going on Christmas Day, on opening day. We got the Warriors facing off against the Nets, the Lakers, Clippers, Miami, New Orleans, the Bucks and Warriors, Nets and Celtics, Lakers and Dallas. So many good games from December 22nd through December 25th. So I cannot wait. So many great games. Cannot wait to sit down and watch those. The tip-off of the NBA season and Christmas Day, something I've been waiting for, something I always look forward to, and continuing that on this season. Let's segue now to my final segment of the show, final topic of the show, and that is ESPN. As they usually do, as expected, I should say, ESPN has generated another list of predictions or of odds as far as what teams are going to be looking like next year. So as usual, as expected, let's take a look at their list discuss it, and then make a list of make one ourselves. This is not my official 1 through 8 playoff seeding predictions, I should say, not quite yet. I will get to that before the season starts. I, however, want to take a look at their top 5 teams list, discuss it, and then again, we'll make one ourselves. So let's start out with the best conference in basketball. That's got to be the Western Conference. And again, these first numbers I'm giving you are all according to ESPN. These are all predictions according to ESPN. So 1 through 5, we'll start out with number 1. Number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers at 44 wins. Number 2, the Clippers at 41 wins. Number 3, the Rockets also at 41 wins. Number 4, the Jazz at 40. Number 5, the Nuggets. So 1 through 5, Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Utah, Nuggets. Those are the top 5 according to ESPN. Those are them predicting to be the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. So obviously it makes sense. You got to put LA at number 1, and then the other LA team, Los Angeles team, the Clippers at number 2. So obviously I'm not going to argue with it there. You got to put the Lakers and Clippers at numbers 1 and 2. No argument there. However, I'm not so sure Houston will be up at that number 3 slot. Again, it's still up in the air that James Harden will be a Houston Rocket next year. So as long as that's up in the air, as long as we don't know what John Wall is going to be like next year. So with all of those things going in, they're still rebuilding the roster, a new head coach. I'm not so sure Houston will be in the top 3, even in the top 5. And then also, why is Denver? So Denver completely needs to be in the top 5. They're all the way down at number 5. So the Rockets, who we don't even know who's going to be on the roster next year, is up at number 3. But then the team that made it to the Western Conference Finals down at number 5. I don't really understand that. Also, why is Utah at number 4 and Denver is at number 5? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Utah as well as the Clippers both blow a 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they both did that in the Orlando bubble. But still, there are several changes, in my opinion, that I would make to this list. Again, both at Los Angeles teams. I'm not going to argue with you there. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Okay, yes, if you're higher on the Clippers, put them at number 1. If you're higher on the Lakers, put them at number 1. Either way, however you want to rank them, Clippers and Lakers are both number 1 and number 2. However you want to rank them, those are your number 1 and your number 2. But after that, like I said, several changes that I would make to this list. However, again, I'm so unsure on Houston at this point. I don't even know if they're going to be in the top 5. They were the 4th seed last year, and we know there's even more questions on the roster this year. There's questions if James Harden's even going to be on the team. So to put them at number 3, per odds at number 3, I don't really understand that at all. Unless they know something I don't about John Wall, about James Harden staying. I don't understand that. I don't understand Denver being down at number 5 and Utah being above them. So as far as my top 5 goes in the Western Conference, what I would do, so Lakers at number 1, Clippers at number 2, I'm putting Denver at number 3, I'm putting Dallas in the top 5, so I'm putting Dallas at number 4, and I'm also putting Portland in the top 5. I'm putting Portland at number 5. That number 5th spot is changeable. Okay, you could rotate Utah at number 5, you could put Houston at number 5. You could put, again, Portland at number 5. So number 5 slot is a toss-up. I do like Portland a lot. I think they made a lot of great additions to the roster. I think they're hopefully going to be healthier next year as well. Lakers number 1, Clippers number 2, Denver at number 3. I got Dallas at number 4, and then maybe Portland number 5, maybe the Rockets at number 5, maybe Utah at number 5. Heck, maybe we'll throw the Warriors in at number 5. Who knows how good they're going to be next year. So that number 5 team, again, you can kind of choose who you want to be. But as far as the top 4 teams, I'm going Lakers, Clippers, Denver, and Dallas for the top 4. Depends on who you're high on for number 5. Now for the Eastern Conference, as far as what ESPN thought for the East, they again, this is according to ESPN, Milwaukee number 1, Toronto number 2, Miami number 3, Philadelphia number 4, Boston at number 5. So yes, the Bucks were obviously the number 1 seed last year, and they did improve over this year's offseason. So yes, it makes nothing but sense for them to be at number 1. Toronto, however, I don't think they improved. I think they got a little bit worse, losing Marc Gasol and losing Serge Ibaka. They did re-sign Van Fleet, but I don't think Toronto improved whatsoever. We'll see, but I really don't think Toronto improved. I think the Bucks did improve. Miami at number 3. That simply makes sense. So as for my list, as for the Eastern Conference goes, I'm keeping Miami at number 1. Or sorry, not Miami. Milwaukee at number 1. With Giannis, adding Drew Holiday, I think they will be better than last year. They were the number 1 seed last year, so I think they keep it up, and they're the number 1 seed again next year. So Milwaukee number 1. Number 2, I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets. I think Brooklyn is going to be very good, adding Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Hopefully they can both be healthy all year to a team that made the postseason this year. They should be very good. They should be a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference. So number 1, Milwaukee. Number 2, I'm putting Brooklyn right there. Number 3, I'm putting Miami. Okay, so Miami, a team that went to the NBA Finals last year. They showed they were a better team than Milwaukee last year. They beat Toronto. They beat Boston. I'm sorry. They beat Milwaukee. So they proved capable. They proved that they are a legit team in the NBA and the Eastern Conference, especially. So Miami's going to stay at number 3. Number 4, I'm going to put Philadelphia over Boston. I'm putting Philadelphia at number 4, keeping them at number 4, I should say. I think adding Doc Rivers, they had some more shooters to the team at Danny Green, Seth Curry. So I think overall that should help the roster. They should be a decent team, a good team next year. Philly at number 4. And at number 5, I'm putting Boston at number 5. They have more scoring than Toronto. They really didn't improve any similar to Toronto. Really didn't improve. They lost Gordon Hayward, but they have more scoring. I like their players in in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker over Kyle Lowry, Siakam, and Van Fleet. So I like the guys in Boston over Toronto. They have more scoring. They also beat them head-to-head last year in the postseason. So I like Boston. My top 5 in the East is Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Miami, Philly, and Boston. Okay, so that's my top 5 for the East. Top 5 for the West were Lakers, Clippers, Denver, Dallas, and then depending on who you number 5, I put Portland, but it could be Portland, Rockets, Utah, Warriors. Really depends on who you're high on. So those are my top 5 teams in each conference. Clearly, I somewhat agreed out East. I pretty much agreed with ESPN. Out West, I had some big disagreements. So that is what I think. So much to look at and break down, though, in the world of basketball right now. This season, we're getting closer and closer to the start of the regular season. We now know who we're going to be seeing on the official tip-off on Christmas Day. The college basketball season is already going on. You know, Russell Westbrook has officially been traded out of Houston. So much has been going on. LeBron James extends with the Lakers. LiAngelo Ball signs his first NBA contract. So much has been going on in the past week of basketball. As we get closer and closer, hey, I'm expecting things to even ramp up a little bit. So hey, keep it here at the GSMC Basketball Podcast. As for today's episode, that is going to be it. Go follow us on Facebook. Go follow us on Twitter. Whatever platform you're listening on, leave us a comment or review. It would greatly be appreciated. Thank you all for your continued support. I'll see you all next week on Monday. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.